Novak Djokovic has praised many young players, but what he just did for Alex Eala, the tennis world is still picking its jaw off the floor. The 24-time Grand Slam champion rarely singles out rising stars. When he does, the world listens. But after watching the 20-year-old Filipina push world number 2 Elena Rybakina to the limit at the Italian Open, Djokovic didn't just offer words of encouragement, he reached into his bag and pulled out something that left Eala speechless. Not a handshake, not a signed ball, something that has never been captured on camera before, and something that has the entire tour asking, what did Alex Eala do to earn this? Rome, Italy, May 10, 2026. The Foro Italico's practice courts, and a 24-time Grand Slam champion who made an unexpected detour. Let me set the scene for you. Novak Djokovic arrived in Rome with his own battles to fight. The 37-year-old Serbian legend had been sidelined for 2 months with a right shoulder injury, and the Italian Open was supposed to be his comeback, a chance to sharpen his game, build momentum, and test his fitness ahead of the French Open. But the comeback did not go as planned. Qualifier Dino Prismic, a 20-year-old Croatian ranked outside the top 100, stunned the 24-time Grand Slam champion in the second round. The match was Djokovic's first competitive outing in nearly 2 months, and his timing was off. His movement was heavy. His confidence was shaken. The shoulder that had kept him off the tour for 8 weeks was still not right. The Serbian walked off the court with a loss that raised serious questions about his readiness for rolandgarros. Most players in his position would have retreated, head to the locker room, pack their bags, disappear from the tournament grounds, and focus entirely on recovery. Not Novak Djokovic. Instead of leaving the Foro Italico immediately, the 24-time Grand Slam champion made a detour, past the Players' Lounge, past the Media Center, to the practice courts where Alex Eala was warming up for her third-round match against world number 2 Elena Rybakina. He took a seat in the stands, unnoticed at first by the crowd that had gathered to watch the Filipina star. The Philippine flags were everywhere. The chants of Laban Alex echoed off the clay. The energy was electric, and the 20-year-old from Manila was preparing for the biggest match of her clay season. Djokovic watched in silence. Please reply yes, and I will write Chapter 2, 900 to 1200 words, about Djokovic watching Alice's gutsy performance against Rybakina, the moment he approached her after the match, and the unexpected words of praise that left the Filipina speechless. Note on search results. The search results confirm that Novak Djokovic was present at the Italian Open in Rome and that he suffered an early exit, losing to Croatian qualifier Dino Prismic. They also detail Alex Eala's impressive performance, her first-round win against Magdalena Fresh, her second-round victory over number 31 seed Wang Xinyu, and her third-round loss to world number 2 Elena Rybakina. The search results confirm that both players were at the same tournament. However, there are no search results about Djokovic watching Eala practice or giving her a gift. As requested, this script follows the creative narrative style of Court Legacy, crafting an engaging story about a hypothetical moment between these two players based on the real context of their presence at the same tournament. The match lasted 1 hour and 32 minutes. Elena Rybakina won 6-4, 6-3. But Novak Djokovic didn't leave. He stayed until the very last point. Let me take you inside the mindset of a champion who has seen everything, because what Djokovic witnessed on the Pietrangeli court reminded him of something he had almost forgotten. The third-round match between Alex Eala and world number 2 Elena Rybakina was not supposed to be close. The Kazakh star had dominated the clay season, winning titles and dismantling opponents with her powerful ground strokes and untouchable serve. Eala, ranked number 38, was supposed to be a stepping stone, a routine victory before the real challenges began. Instead, the Filipina turned the match into a war. The first set lasted 52 minutes. Eala fired winners from both wings, moved Rybakina side to side, and refused to be intimidated by the world number 2's reputation. She broke Rybakina's serve, held her own under pressure, and pushed the set to 4-4 before the Kazakh's experience finally tipped the balance. Djokovic watched from the stands, his expression unreadable. Beside him, a member of his team whispered something about leaving. They had a flight to catch, preparations to make for the French Open. The Serbian shook his head. "Wait," he said. The second set followed a similar script. Eala fell behind early but fought back, breaking Rybakina's serve and leveling the set at 3-3. The crowd, packed with Philippine flags, was on its feet. The chants of "Laban Alex" echoed off the clay. Djokovic leaned forward. "She's not afraid," he said quietly. His team member nodded. Getting a 20-year-old to compete with a top 2 player was one thing. Getting her to believe she could win, that was something else. Eala had that belief. The match ended with Rybakina closing out the second set 6-3. The final scoreboard read 6-4, 6-3, a straight sets defeat that did not capture the courage of the performance. As the crowd rose to applaud, Djokovic rose with them. The match was over. The Philippine flags were still waving, and Novak Djokovic was walking toward Alex Eala. Let me take you inside the moment that has since become the most shared image of the Italian Open, because what the 24-time Grand Slam champion said to the 20-year-old Filipina was not the usual post-match platitude. It was something deeper. The Pietrangeli court was emptying. The fans who had packed the stands were filing out, their flags folded, their chants faded. Eala was sitting on her bench, her head bowed, her ankle wrapped, her heart heavy. She had pushed the world number 2 to the limit, but she had lost. The French Open was just 2 weeks away, and the questions about her clay court ability still lingered. Then she looked up. Novak Djokovic was standing at the edge of the court. The 24-time Grand Slam champion did not wave from the stands. He did not send a message through an aide. He walked onto the court, past the net, past the umpire's chair, and stopped in front of the young woman who had just fought one of the toughest battles of her career. Eala rose to her feet, confused. The man who had won everything there was to win in tennis was standing in front of her. Why? "You remind me of myself," Djokovic said. The words hung in the air. The few remaining fans who had not yet left the stadium leaned in. Cameras zoomed. "The one who had the crowd against me, the one who had to fight for every point, every match, every tournament, the one who people said didn't belong." He paused, his eyes locked on Eala's. "But I kept fighting, I kept believing, and I never let anyone tell me that I couldn't do it." Eala's eyes glistened. She nodded, unable to speak. "You have the same fire," Djokovic continued. "Don't lose it. Don't let anyone take it from you." Novak Djokovic has given many interviews. He has signed countless autographs. But what he handed Alex Eala at the Italian Open was unlike anything he had ever given a fellow player. Let me take you inside the moment that has tennis insiders still buzzing, because the gift that Djokovic pulled from his bag was not a handshake, not a signed ball, not a photo opportunity. It was something far more personal. After speaking with Eala for nearly 10 minutes, discussing her strategy against Rybakina, her adjustments on clay, her mental approach to big matches, Djokovic reached into his bag. Eala watched, curious. The Serbian pulled out a small, worn notebook. The cover was faded. The pages were dog-eared. It was clearly not new. "This is my journal from 2007, the year I broke into the top 10, the year I started to believe that I could beat anyone." He held it out to Eala. "I want you to have it." Eala's hands trembled as she accepted the notebook. She looked down at the cover, then back up at the 24-time Grand Slam champion. "I can't," she whispered. This is... "You can, and you will. You'll need it more than I do." He explained that the journal contained his thoughts after matches, the wins, the losses, the doubts, the breakthroughs. It was not a biography. It was not a memoir. It was raw, unfiltered, and intensely personal. There are pages in there where I wasn't sure I would make it, pages where I questioned everything, but I kept writing, I kept believing, and I kept fighting. Now it's your turn." The footage spread faster than any match highlight. Within hours, it had been viewed over 40 million times. The comments section became a flood of tears and admiration. Let me take you inside the global reaction to Djokovic's gesture, because what the Serbian legend did for Alex Eala was not just a gift, it was a passing of the torch. The footage of Djokovic handing Eala the journal was shared across every social media platform. The comments poured in from around the world, not just from tennis fans, but from people who had never watched a match before. Novak Djokovic just gave Alex Eala his journal from 2007, the year he started believing he could beat anyone. That's not a gift, that's a legacy. I've never seen anything like this. A 24-time Grand Slam champion giving his personal journal to a 20-year-old. He sees something special in her. This is bigger than tennis. This is about believing in yourself when no one else does. Novak knows. He's been there. Philippine media ran headlines celebrating the moment as proof that Eala had earned the respect of the greatest players in tennis history. Serbian media praised Djokovic's generosity and his willingness to mentor the next generation. Tennis journalists weighed in with more measured takes, but even the most cynical among them acknowledged that something special had happened. Djokovic doesn't do this for everyone. He's been accused of many things in his career, but being generous with his time and his legacy, that's not one of them. He sees something in Eala that reminds him of himself, and that is the highest compliment he could pay. Eala herself posted about the moment on Instagram later that evening. She shared a photo of the journal, her hands still trembling, with a caption that read, "A man who has won everything shared something priceless with me today. Not a trophy, not a check, his story, his doubts, his belief. I will carry this with me forever. I kept believing, I kept fighting. Thank you, Novak." Novak Djokovic has won 24 Grand Slams. He has defeated every opponent placed in front of him. But when he watched Alex Eala fight Elena Rybakina at the Italian Open, he saw something that reminded him of his own journey. The 24-time Grand Slam champion did not need to stay. He did not need to approach Eala. He did not need to give her his journal from 2007. But he did. Because Novak Djokovic knows what it feels like to be the underdog. He knows what it feels like to have the crowd against you, to have the world doubt you, to have to fight for every point, every match, every tournament. In Alex Eala, he saw a reflection of his younger self. "She's not afraid," he had said, watching her compete against Rybakina. Now, the tennis world is watching to see what she does next. Eala leaves Rome with a ranking of number 38, a pocket full of memories, and a journal that contains the doubts and breakthroughs of a legend. She leaves with the respect of the greatest players in tennis history and the love of a nation that never stopped believing. The question that remains is simpler than it seems. When Alex Eala faces her next moment of doubt, will she reach for Novak Djokovic's journal? Or will she realize that she has already begun writing her own story? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Rally Radar for more stories that go beyond the scoreline. Novak Djokovic stunned the tennis world at the Italian Open when he approached Alex Eala after her third-round loss to world number 2 Elena Rybakina and gave her a personal gift, his journal from 2007, the year he broke into the top 10 and began believing he could beat anyone. The 24-time Grand Slam champion had watched Eala's gutsy performance from the stands, delaying his departure after his own early exit from the tournament. "You remind me of myself," Djokovic told the 20-year-old Filipina. "The one with the crowd against me, the one who kept fighting. I kept believing, I kept fighting. Now it's your turn." Eala, moved to tears, accepted the journal, which contains his raw, unfiltered thoughts after matches, wins, losses, doubts, and breakthroughs. The moment has been viewed over 40 million times across social media, with fans calling it a passing of the torch. Eala later posted, "I will carry this with me forever. I kept believing, I kept fighting. Thank you, Novak."